Ladies and gentlemen, you might have been told countless times that men fall in love when they meet the right person. But what if I told you that men fall in love when they are forced to confront the greatest truth of their existence? That love, in its purest form, is not just a fleeting emotion or a chance meeting. It is an awakening. It's a moment when the veil of illusion is lifted, and we are faced with the stark, unrelenting truth of who we really are. Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds profound, perhaps even unsettling. But stick with me, because by the end of this speech, you will understand why love is not just something we feel, but something we discover. You'll see why men, often the most elusive creatures when it comes to matters of the heart, find themselves captivated by love when they least expect it. The first truth is this: men fall in love when they realize they can't control everything. Society teaches us that we must have control over our actions, our environments, even our emotions. But love, my friends, doesn't follow this rule. It forces us to let go, to surrender to something beyond our understanding. And in that surrender, we often find ourselves falling in love, not just with another person, but with life itself. This brings us to the second point. Love is a mirror. Men fall in love when they look into the eyes of another and see not just their reflection, but their truest self. It's as if love strips away the layers of self-deception, revealing vulnerabilities we've long hidden. And that is when we experience the most profound connection, when we allow ourselves to be seen, without fear, without reservation. But there is something more profound that happens. Love requires surrender, the very thing that men fear most. We are taught to be strong, to stand firm, to never give in. Yet love asks us to surrender, to trust, to release control. It challenges everything we thought we knew about strength and power, and in that surrender we discover a deeper strength, one rooted not in control, but in freedom. And once that surrender happens, something beautiful emerges, a deep connection. Men fall in love when they feel truly seen, understood, and accepted. When the surface level exchanges fall away, and we connect on a deeper, more meaningful level. It's as if love transcends time and space, and we are no longer just two individuals, but two souls intertwined. Finally, love is a spiritual awakening. Men fall in love when they transcend their ego. In love, we are forced to face not just another person, but the vastness of existence itself. It's a reminder that we are not separate, but part of something much greater. Love becomes the gateway to a higher state of consciousness, a profound realization that we are not just living for ourselves, but for the collective experience of all beings. So, what does this all mean? It means that men fall in love when they stop trying to control, when they allow themselves to be vulnerable, when they transcend their ego and connect with something greater than themselves. Love, in its truest form, is not a search for a perfect partner, but a journey into the heart of existence itself. Men fall in love when they realize they can't control everything. In a world that constantly urges us to take command of our surroundings, emotions, and relationships, this idea might seem foreign, even unsettling. We are taught from a young age that control is key to success, happiness, and fulfillment. It's in our nature to want to be the masters of our fate, to bend circumstances to our will. This need for control gives us a sense of safety, security, and purpose. But love, as we often discover, is not something that can be tamed or shaped by our hands. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Love's power lies in its ability to break us free from the illusion of control, to show us that sometimes the more we try to control, the further we drift from the very thing we seek. When a man falls in love, he is often confronted with a stark realization. He cannot dictate his feelings or the path that love will take. It's an experience that challenges the deeply ingrained belief that everything must be predictable, manageable, and under control. In love, we encounter emotions that are messy, unpredictable, and sometimes uncomfortable. The idea that a man could love someone so deeply, so uncontrollably, forces him to confront the raw truth of his vulnerability. In the face of this unpredictability, he must let go of his tight grip on life's outcomes and trust that love will unfold as it should. This moment of surrender is a defining one. It is when a man realizes that love doesn't follow his plans that he must open himself to a deeper, more expansive truth. Love asks us to release our need for control, to allow ourselves to be swept away by something larger than our own will. In this surrender, we find a paradoxical freedom, the freedom to experience life fully without the constant pressure to dominate it. Love becomes an invitation to experience life not as a series of outcomes to be managed, but as a journey of discovery, connection, and emotion. It teaches us that sometimes the most powerful moments in life are those we don't see coming, that we don't control, and that unfold without our effort. As a man falls in love, he begins to understand that it is in letting go, in releasing his need to control every detail, that he finds the truest form of connection, not just with the one he loves, but with life itself. Men fall in love when they see themselves reflected in the eyes of another. There's something profoundly intimate about the way love holds a mirror to the soul. It's not just a fleeting connection or a surface-level attraction. It's the deep, often overwhelming realization that someone else can truly see you, not the version you've carefully curated, not the person you project into the world, but the raw, unfiltered essence of who you are. For a man, this can be both terrifying and liberating. Most of his life, he's been taught to conceal parts of himself, his vulnerabilities, his uncertainties, his fears. Society tells him that strength lies in stoicism, that true masculinity is unshakable and invulnerable. But love doesn't care about these constructs. Love sees through them, cuts through the armor, and demands authenticity. In the gaze of another person, a man finds himself confronted with the truth of his own existence. It's in that moment, often without warning, that he realizes how deeply he has longed to be understood, to be seen for who he truly is, and not just for what he shows the world. This experience can spark a kind of emotional awakening, a recognition that the deepest parts of himself have always been waiting to be known. In love, he is forced to confront the parts of himself he has hidden, sometimes even from his own heart. It's no longer about maintaining a facade. Love asks him to be present in his most vulnerable state, and when he allows himself to be seen, truly seen, he discovers that this vulnerability does not make him weak, but it connects him more deeply with the one he loves. This is where the power of love lies. It is not just about the romantic attraction or physical chemistry, but about the profound emotional bond that forms when two people lay bare their true selves. When a man falls in love, he experiences the joy of being accepted, not for his achievements or his strengths, but for his flaws and imperfections. It is this acceptance that allows him to feel fully alive, to finally be himself in the presence of another. It is a love that demands truth, a love that asks for nothing less than authenticity. And in that exchange, something miraculous happens. Both individuals, in their rawest and most real forms, meet and find in each other a reflection of their own humanity. And it is this recognition that creates a bond unlike any other. Men fall in love when they understand that love requires surrender. For many men, surrender is seen as an act of weakness, something to be avoided at all costs. From an early age, they are taught to be strong, self-reliant, and independent, traits that are valued in a world that often demands performance and control. In this environment, the idea of surrender is paradoxical. It challenges everything they've been taught about masculinity and strength. To surrender, in the traditional sense, means to give up control, to submit to something greater than oneself, and this can feel like a loss. Yet, in the realm of love, surrender is not only necessary, it is transformative. When a man falls in love, he is forced to confront this paradox. Love demands a kind of vulnerability that cannot exist without surrender. It asks him to release his need to control the outcome, to trust in something that is often unpredictable and chaotic. This act of surrender is not about giving up his identity or his independence, but about allowing himself to be swept up in the experience, to let go of the tightly held reins of his life, and to enter into a shared journey with another. In that surrender, he discovers that love is not something to be conquered or controlled, but something to be experienced, to be felt deeply without the constant need to manage it. Surrender in love is about trust. It's about opening oneself up to the possibility of being hurt, of being vulnerable, and yet choosing to step forward into that uncertainty. It is in this space of uncertainty that a man begins to discover his capacity for deeper emotional connection. The walls he has built around himself start to crumble, and in their place a new kind of strength emerges. This strength is not born from control, but from the courage to be open, to love without conditions, and to embrace the unknown. When a man surrenders to love, he realizes that the act of letting go is, in fact, an act of empowerment. It allows him to experience love in its purest form, unencumbered by the weight of expectation, free from the need to maintain control over every aspect of his life. And in that freedom, he finds a deeper connection to himself, to the one he loves, and to the world around him. Men fall in love when they experience a connection that transcends the superficial. In a world dominated by surface-level interactions, where images are often more important than substance, love offers something far deeper. For many men, this profound connection comes as a surprise. They may have lived their lives navigating through relationships that were based on external attractions, shared interests, physical appearance, status, or social alignment. These are the things that many believe define a relationship, but when it comes to true love, they fall short. It's when a man begins to connect with someone on a much deeper level, when the person becomes more than just a figure in his life but a mirror of his soul, that he starts to fall in love. This deeper connection happens when a man realizes that love is not just about compatibility, but about vulnerability. The superficial elements of attraction, though powerful, eventually lose their grip. What truly holds a man's heart is when he meets someone who sees him for who he truly is. One who can perceive the complexities of his mind, the depth of his emotions, and the essence of his spirit. This goes beyond the things that can be easily seen or quantified. It reaches into the quiet, unspoken places where our true selves reside. When a man finds himself in a connection like this, he begins to experience a love that feels less like a choice and more like an awakening. This kind of love is powerful because it strips away the distractions and pretenses of life. Men often spend their days wearing masks, performing roles, and living up to expectations, but in the presence of someone who truly understands them, those masks begin to fall away. Love becomes an act of discovery, not just of the other person, but of themselves. As he connects on this deeper level, he realizes that love is not about fitting into predefined molds, but about allowing the fullness of who he is to come into the light. When a man falls in love in this way, he experiences a profound sense of belonging. He is no longer just a man playing a part in a relationship. He is a man who is seen and heard, who is valued for everything he is. It is through this kind of connection that love transforms from a mere emotion to a deep and transformative experience. It is in this moment of connection that a man understands that love is not something to be found, but something to be experienced in its fullest, most authentic form. This realization, this recognition of a love that transcends the surface, becomes the foundation of a relationship that has the potential to endure and grow in ways he never imagined. Men fall in love when they begin to experience a deep sense of connection with another person. This connection goes beyond mere compatibility or shared experiences. It touches something far more profound, something spiritual and intrinsic to the nature of human existence. For many men, love is not just about the emotional highs or the physical intimacy shared between two people. It is about the bond that forms when two souls truly meet. This is the moment when a man feels understood in a way that surpasses words or action. It is the feeling of being recognized, not just as a person with a set of roles and responsibilities, but as a human being with desires, fears, dreams, and insecurities. This deep connection is not something that can be manufactured. It happens naturally when two people allow themselves to be vulnerable with each other, when they step into a space of openness and trust. A man falls in love when he can see and feel that the person he loves understands the essence of who he is, someone who doesn't just know him in passing, but who knows the quiet parts of his heart that he often keeps hidden from the world. In this connection, he discovers something extraordinary. He is not alone. There is someone who sees him, not for the person he pretends to be, but for the person he truly is. This feeling of being truly understood is something that many men yearn for but rarely experience in its fullness. When it does happen, it can be a revelation. This connection often leads to a transformation in how a man views relationships and love itself. It is no longer about finding someone to fill a role in his life. It's about finding someone with whom he can share his deepest self. It's about a partnership where both individuals feel seen, valued, and loved for everything they are, not just the parts they show to the outside world. It's about the way two people can come together, not out of need or convenience, but because they recognize something within each other that resonates on a profound level. When a man falls in love, this connection becomes the foundation of the relationship. It is in this bond that he discovers the true power of love, the ability to transcend the ego and connect with something greater than oneself. This connection offers him a sense of peace and belonging, a recognition that he is not alone in the world. It is in these moments of connection, where both people are seen and accepted in their most vulnerable states, that love becomes more than just an emotion. It becomes a shared journey, a sacred space where two people can grow together, evolve, and experience the fullness of life. Men fall in love when they transcend their own ego and connect to something greater than themselves. For many men, the ego is the central force that guides their actions, decisions, and desires. It is the part of them that seeks validation, recognition, and success, often at the cost of deeper emotional connection. From an early age, men are taught to build their identity around their accomplishments, their strength, and their ability to control their environment. This ego-driven approach to life is how they navigate the world, but it can also be a barrier to experiencing love in its fullest, most transformative form. Love, however, offers a radical shift, a chance to move beyond the confines of the ego and enter a space where connection, vulnerability, and selflessness are at the forefront. When a man falls in love, something profound happens. He begins to realize that love is not about reinforcing his ego, but about surrendering it. It's in this surrender that he begins to experience a deeper sense of connection, not just to another person, but to the universe itself. The ego thrives on separation. It tells him that he is distinct, different, and independent from the rest of the world. But love invites him to transcend this illusion. It reminds him that he is part of something larger, something that binds all of humanity together. It's when a man lets go of his need to be the center of his own world, when he opens himself to the experience of love without expecting anything in return, that he feels a profound sense of belonging. This transcendence of the ego is what allows a man to truly connect with another. In love, he discovers that it is not his accomplishments or his achievements that make him worthy of connection, but his capacity for love, empathy, and understanding. Love becomes a space where his ego is no longer the driving force, but rather his soul. It is in this space that he experiences the truest form of intimacy, where two people meet not as separate entities, but as one unified experience. It is the realization that love is not about taking or receiving, but about giving and being present. As a man transcends his ego, he begins to see the world through a different lens. Love expands his sense of self, enabling him to experience a deeper connection to life itself. This connection becomes spiritual in nature, as he recognizes that he is not isolated, but part of a greater whole. When love moves him beyond the limitations of his ego, he enters into a space of infinite possibility. It is here, in this profound shift, that a man truly falls in love, not just with another person, but with life itself. And in this love he finds a deeper purpose, a greater understanding of who he is, and a profound sense of peace. In conclusion, men fall in love not merely because of attraction or circumstance, but because love challenges them to confront their deepest truths and step beyond the limitations they've placed on themselves. It forces them to release the need for control, to embrace vulnerability, and to connect on a level far deeper than surface-level interactions. It calls them to surrender, to let go of the ego and experience a profound spiritual connection that transcends the self. Through love, they discover that it is in the surrender, the vulnerability, and the authenticity of their being that they find not only connection to another person, but a deeper connection to themselves and to the world around them. Love, in its truest form, is not just a fleeting emotion, but a transformative journey that leads men to awaken parts of themselves they never knew existed. It's in this journey that they experience the full breadth and beauty of what it means to truly live and love.